Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Modern Quantity Surveyor. Key skills to have. Competencies for a quantity surveyor. Learn one competency a week. Today we will talk about the second competency, which is client care. Also one of the mandatory competencies for a quantity surveyor. The client care competency covers how a surveyor deals with a client from a business and professional perspective and meets a client's brief in respect of a specific appointment. The term client refers to contractual party who has appointed the surveyor and also stakeholders in the project. This competency is closely linked to ethics, rules of conduct, and professionalism. Client care competency, you need to know how to provide evidence of practical application of the principles and practice of client care, such as you need to know how to handle complaints, how to establish client's brief, appointment documents, fees, key performance indicators, stakeholder management, communication strategy, and so on. Some of the examples of activities and knowledge comprised within this level 2 for a client care competency are: establish a client's objectives, confirming a client's brief, establishing a scope of service, calculating fees for professional services, compiling an appointment document, establishing project stakeholders and their status, setting up communication systems with the client and stakeholders, issuing reports to a client, cost reports, dealing with a complaint, measurement of KPIs, analyzing the data gathered through the client briefing process and formulating a detailed client brief, consulting with the statutory authorities on the consents and other approvals required, preparing alternative outline design proposals including option appraisals, preparing outline schedules of work, and assessing client relationships, team performance, and stakeholder interfaces on international projects. So, the first example is establishing a client's objective. Client satisfaction will be maximized if the client's objectives are established in the business case for the project are met. Now, some possible client objectives are cost related, such as to minimize the capital cost, minimize management cost, minimize the maintenance cost and insurance costs, tax liability, and to be energy efficient. Other objective is marketability, which is to maximize prompt of future disposal. Use related objectives, that is to optimize operational requirements of the intended occupiers. Environmental related objectives, which is to minimize health and safety risk, use sustainable materials for the project. And timing, that is to minimize delays and construct within a defined time period. So the type of client will affect the criteria which must be met if the client is to be satisfied with the project. Whether it's an owner, the building performance will be one of the objectives, and if it is a developer, investment might be the objective. Second example you need to know is about establishing a client's brief. So the project brief is a comprehensive statement of the client's requirements for the project based on close consultation between the client and users and based upon the parameters established in early planning of the project. Now there are many things which can be included in a project brief, such as project description, number of people who will occupy the building, standards, schedule of accommodation, quality of internal environment, equipment, special services, when the building needs to be available for use, quality and cost limitations, lifespan, site and statutory controls. Next example is about insurance. What are the purposes of having professional indemnity insurance? It's to ensure that if a firm faces a claim, it is protected from financial loss that it cannot meet from its own resources. Next is to protect the insured member or the firm against the consequences of its liability to pay damages to third parties for breaches of professional duty that it commits through its professional activities. So also it ensures the firm's clients do not suffer financial loss which the firm cannot meet. Appointment documents. Now there are various forms for appointment of consultants which are provided by RICS, such as RICS standard form of consultants appointment. Now this is a typical document used for appointing a consultant such as architect or engineer for a construction or property project. It outlines the terms and conditions of the appointment, including responsibility, fees, and other relevant details, and is intended to be used for the more complex, medium, or large normal type service project appointments. The RICS short form of consultant's appointment, which is a condensed version of the standard form, is intended to be used for less complex, small normal type service project appointments. And the goal is to simplify the contractual process while addressing key terms and conditions. The third form, the RICS short form for consultant's appointment for designated services, is intended to be used for specialist surveying services. So when the client appoints the consultant to provide the services and consultant accepts such appointment upon and subjects these conditions, that is the appointment, there are some key points. For example, what are the client obligations, what are the consultant obligations, the fees, the payment, insurance, time of payment, client's brief, dispute resolution and termination and suspension provisions. The next example you need to know for a client care is about calculating fees for professional services. Now, fees is a matter of negotiation. There is no standard or recommended basis for fee calculation. The quantity surveyors, for example, they charge, based on the work done by the clients, and it's based on the following options like monthly fee charges, agreed lump sum fee, agreed percentage of total contract value, or any other fee which is negotiated with the client and the quantity surveyor. For example, fee based on area. The fee will reflect the complexity of the project, scope of services to be provided, applicable work stages, procurement, construction cost, and timetable. The key performance indicators for clients usually it gives the clear picture about the customer's needs and requirements, and you can also compare one's performance against the client's expectations and also competitors. Clients, they always want their projects delivered on time, on budget, free from defects and safely. We will also look into the KPIs in a different video, but some of the KPIs that the construction firm should monitor include time, cost, quality, customer satisfaction, and so on. Complaints handling. Now, there are RICS code of conduct for members and firms to handle the complaints, and there are two stages as well. For example, the stage 1 says the complaint should be handled by a senior person or designated complaints handler and acknowledge the complaint as quickly as possible. The second stage, if the firm is unable to resolve the complaint internally, then the complaint will be taken to an independent redress mechanism approved by RICS. Stakeholder management. Who needs to be communicated with and what do they need to know? Now, the stakeholders, they can be divided into following categories based on the level of influence: responsible, those who own the project or the problem; accountable, person who must sign off the project; consultant, stakeholders hold information or capability necessary to complete the work; informed, stakeholders need to know the outcome but need to be consulted. RASI matrix, it's very useful to focus on the involvement of appropriate people and help in decision making process. Finally, the quantity surveyors should consider client loyalty as their highest obligation and give clients positive regards. This means that you prize a client as a person with somewhat the same quality or feeling that a parent feels for his child, prizing him as a person. Thank you. Learn at least one competency a week. So are you ready for client care? Please subscribe to my channel, Modern Quantity Surveyor.